A new national poll of the Democratic presidential race shows a tightening race for second place, with Joe Biden scoring 32% in the Fox News poll, down 3 points from last month, while Senator Bernie Sanders falls to 13%, just 4 points ahead of Senator Elizabeth Warren at 9%. Pete Buttigieg and Kamala Harris tied for fourth at 8 points each. Meanwhile, a poll of South Carolina voters from the Charleston Post and Courier shows Joe Biden falling 9 points to 37% and Senator Elizabeth Warren rising 9 points to second place with 17%. Those numbers may suggest why President Trump's re-election team is reportedly turning its attention to Senator Warren. According to Politico, Trump's team cites Warren's disciplined style, populist-infused speeches, and perceived ability to win over suburban female voters for their concerns. Politico says that one campaign pollster has sounded the alarm internally, stressing that Warren's attacks on Trump in key states like Iowa, New Hampshire, and Nevada threatened to undercut his support from the working-class voters who propelled him to the presidency. Joining us now, staff writer for The New Yorker, Sheila Kolhatkar. She's out with a new piece which profiles Senator Elizabeth Warren, entitled, "Can Elizabeth Warren Win It All?" So can she, Sheila? I mean, she's had a message from the get-go. She's had a message her entire life, and I do believe that makes a difference, especially now when it's the very voters who are being let down, let's put it that way, misled, let's put it that way safely, that Elizabeth Warren has been fighting for her whole life.
Well, she's really an expert on the middle class, and she really she studied that demographic as an academic.
Issues. She was, you know, I believe one of her senior thesis projects that she did either in graduate school, I believe, at Harvard, was on bankruptcy.
Yes.
And she sat in bankruptcy court and looked at the people coming in and said, you know, these were real people.
She studied their
tried.
Yeah, no, she could see family after family taking on all sorts of debt to compensate for the fact that someone had lost a job or their wages were not going up. And in fact, she predicted a lot of what has happened economically that has led us into this little pickle that we're in right now, where you have a large group of people who feel that they are just not getting ahead economically. Meanwhile, their expenses are going up.
So her campaign, I mean, does it have potential? Are we seeing green shoots here?
I think it's really interesting. When I started reporting this piece for The New Yorker, which was sort of January, February, everyone I spoke to said she has the best ideas. I love her ideas. I would vote for her. She could never win. And people are not saying that anymore. She's kind of conducted this really slow and steady, substance-oriented campaign. Obviously, there are some questions she still needs to answer about some of her policies, but she is slowly just plodding away and winning people over. And she really does have a personal story that is very powerful.
She loves it too, right? Nick.
Sheila, her base so far has been what we call high information voters, the more educated voters, and a white voters, more liberal voters. Does she have a plan for attracting working class voters, for crossing over, for getting more of that Biden vote, and then eventually in a general election some of the Trump vote?
Well, I think one thing she pointed out to me during one of our interviews is that a lot of what she says is actually very similar to what Steve Bannon has been saying for a long time. That basically, as long as Democrats or Trump in his case are focused on economic issues that speak to middle class voters, they're going to win. And she's really taken that to heart in a way. And so she's been really ignoring all of the identity politics, the kind of social justice stuff that's dominated some of the other campaigns, and she's just focused on
just her
day-to-day
message.
Economic challenges. Yes.
Yamiche has a question for you.
You just said something really interesting, which is that she hasn't been focused on the identity politics and the social justice issues. But of course, a big part of the Democratic base is African American women. Can you talk to me a little bit about what connection she thinks she's forming with that group and whether or not she at some point might pivot to talking about those things?
I saw her address the Al Sharpton National Action Network conference here in New York, and it was really interesting. She spent her entire talk speaking about childcare, and she had a lot of data about how childcare expenses, childcare challenges especially affect African American women. And I could see that she was really making an effort to connect with that group of voters. And she kind of said, listen, I have been there. I have been a struggling single mom trying to find someone to take care of my kids. You know, this is what's holding the African American community back economically, the fact that women don't have access to affordable, high quality childcare. She also just recently released a plan that's intended to promote investment in entrepreneurial projects of people of color. So she really is focusing on that. I don't know whether that group of voters are going to respond to her. I mean, we have yet to see. You know, many of the campaign events I attended were in very, shall we say, homogeneous areas. Iowa, I mean, it was very
well, the one thing we've noticed about her is she just loves doing this. You know, that's part of it, is she just will, one voter at a time, work them over and enjoy every minute of the conversation. We'll be looking for your piece in the latest issue of The New Yorker. Sheila Kolhatkar, very nice to have you on the show. Come back. And Yamiche, thank you as well.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.